Hello, Year 2 children. It's Mr Yeardsley with the second part of our story from The World's Worst Teachers by David Williams. It's about Miss Seethe's detention rampage. Miss Seethe was the deputy head, and she just started to smile. Can you remember why? Yeah, I think that you're right. That's why, because she thought she was going to become the head teacher. The crown would finally be passed to her, and she would be top dog. But before Miss Stint could make the announcement, the old dear nodded off mid-sentence. Her secretary, or rather nurse, Miss Epoch, stepped in. She woke Miss Stint up as she always did by gently slapping her boss around the face. Slap, slap, slap. Miss Stint woke up with a start. "Oh, thank you very much, Miss Epoch. I don't know what I'd do without you." "My great pleasure, headmistress," replied the secretary. "Now, where was I?" "The announcement!" bellowed Miss Seethe. "Oh, yes, thank you, Miss Seethe, my trusted deputy and closest friend." Seethe nodded her head but said nothing. All she'd ever felt towards Miss Stint was deep, dark resentment. Today is the perfect day to make the announcement that dum-dum-dum. There really wasn't a dum-dum-dum sound. I just added that to ramp up the tension. This I have done at no extra cost to you, dear reader. I have decided to stay on as headmistress of High for another 50 years. Hooray! Everyone shouted. Miss Stint was much loved, but there was a hint of uncertainty in the cheer. 50 years? Was she really going to live until she was 149 and still be working? Miss Seethe looked as if she was about to explode. "No!" she screamed. "Did you have anything to add, Miss Seethe?" inquired Miss Stint. "Detention!" The whole school laughed uproariously. "Ha ha ha! Hee hee ha ha! Ho ho ho!" chortled Miss Stint. "I am the headmistress, Miss Seethe. You can't put me in detention." "Insolence!" shouted the deputy head. She was having none of it. "Double detention! Ho ho ho! Triple detention!" The school secretary spoke for a boss. "Miss Seethe, please, have you lost your marbles?" "Yes, I have, many years ago," shouted Miss Seethe, waving a walking stick overhead, faster and faster. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That wasn't the answer Miss Epoch was expecting, but she pressed on anyway. "Even so, this is Miss Stint's big day. 50 glorious years. How dare you ruin it?" Miss Seethe was a lady not for turning. "Detention!" she boomed again. "I beg your pardon," replied the secretary. She couldn't believe her ears. Now she was receiving a detention too. "Double detention!" bellowed Miss Seethe. "But triple detention! But quadruple detention! But quintuple detention! But sextuple detention! But septuple detention! How many is that? 7! Octuple detention! Is that 8? Yes! Nonuple detention! 9! I bet you didn't know what 10 is! Decuple detention!" "Knickers!" exclaimed the secretary. "Miss Seethe, you've gone crazy in the coconut. You can't just give detention to everyone." "Oh, yes, I can," thundered the deputy head. "Oh, no, you can't," chimed the entire school. "Oh, yes, I can." "Oh, no, you can't." "Oh, yes, I can." This pantomime routine went on for a few hours before Seethe snapped, "Everyone in this room, you are all in detention." This was Detention Rampage. Everybody in the school hall, and it was well over 1,000 people, began complaining loudly, not least all the other teachers. "No! Never! Nope! Nonsense! Nicky-nack-a-noo-noos!" That was Miss Epoch again. "Merry Christmas, everybody!" announced Miss Stint over the din. "It's January, headmistress," corrected the secretary. "Is it really?" "Yes. Well, it's nice to get it in early." Before anyone could utter another word, Miss Seethe shouted, "Silence!" louder than a teacher had ever shouted silence before. The previous record for loudest shouted silence was held by a stocky geography teacher named Mr Boom. He shouted so loudly that he made himself go permanently deaf. These days, because he can't hear a thing, he shouts even louder. Now she had everybody's attention. Seethe started spinning her walking stick above her head, faster and faster, shooing everyone out of the hall. Shoo, shoo, shoo! In no time she'd forced every single pupil and staff member down the corridor, up the stairs and into her classroom at the top of the school building. The problem was the classroom was meant for 30, not 1,030. It was like standing in a packed train carriage at rush hour. Armpits were in faces, knees were knocking against each other, and toes were treading on toes. Oops! Ouch! Sorry, ouch! All the children found this to be most amusing. No one let go, or we are all doomed, shouted someone. Ha ha ha! You can all stay behind until the end of time, shouted Seethe from the doorway. You sad little woman, mocked Miss Epoch, speaking up for the entire school. This is all because you didn't get the top job. Boo-hoo-hoo! Now you'll never be headmistress and never get your moment of glory. Yes, agreed everybody else. Miss Seethe's narrow eyes narrowed even further. Her nose wrinkled and her lip quivered. You are quite wrong, announced the deputy. This is my moment of glory, for this is the day when I give the whole school a detention. Not the entire school, observed Miss Stint with a smile. What? I think you're forgetting someone. Who? Demanded Seethe. You. Silence descended over the overcrowded classroom. All eyes turned to the deputy head, who was standing at the door, wrestling with this thought. After a moment, she spoke. Miss Seethe, announced Miss Seethe. Yes, Miss Seethe, replied Miss Seethe. I hereby give you a detention. Me? Yes, you. But I'm the deputy head of this school. You can't give me a detention. Oh, yes, I can, for I'm the deputy head of this school. Now get in there. Shoo, shoo, shoo. With that, Miss Seethe held up a stick and prodded and poked herself into the classroom. Now there was even less room in there than before, and people started to grumble. Ouch! Oof! Ow! Can't you wait until the next train? Stop picking my nose! I am terribly sorry. I thought it was mine. Miss Seethe closed the classroom door shut behind her. Shh! Right, now everyone settle down, she called out. You tried to settle down in here, called back Miss Stint. There are 30 bottoms for every chair. Ha ha ha! Some of the bottoms are too large just for the one. Ha 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 ha! Right, announced Miss Seethe, determined to gain control of the classroom. She clambered up Miss Stint as if the elderly headmistress were a ladder. Would you mind awfully removing your foot from my head? Asked the headmistress. Holding on to a stick tightly, Miss Seethe then crowd surfed, not the best method of travel, even at a rock concert, her way over the top of everyone's heads. I am setting us all lines, she announced as a wave of hands passed her around the room like a beach ball. I must not complain about being given a detention, or I will be given another detention. No one could write a thing. There wasn't room to move your elbow. We can't. It's impossible. Are you bananas? Ha 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 ha! Undeterred, Miss Seethe crowd-surfed away over to the cabinet in the corner to fetch some paper. She stood on top of it and addressed the entire school. I want you all, us all, to write it out 1,000,000 times, she barked. I am not doing it, Seethe replied to herself. 1,000,000,000 then, she snapped back, rotating her walking stick over her head. I said no. 1,000,000,000,000. Whoop. No. 1,000,000,000. Whoop. No. Never. 1,000,000,000,000. Whoop. No, no, no. As she argued with herself, her walking stick revolved faster and faster and faster and faster still. Seethe was now spinning her stick above her head at such a speed they actually took off like a helicopter. Whirr. Her feet left the cabinet, and she sent herself crashing through the roof of her classroom. Smash! The teacher hurtled through the sky. Everyone looked up through the seed-sized hole in the ceiling to see her whizzing through the clouds, still rotating her stick above her head. Detention! Bellowed Miss Seethe as a pigeon that flew past her. Squawk! Her voice echoed across the sky until it was heard no more. Well, that feels better, sighed Miss Epoch. Oh, yes, murmured everyone else in agreement. Now let's party, announced Miss Stint. Yes, cried the entire school. They all tumbled out of the classroom and followed the headmistress down the corridor, back into the hall where all the yummy cakes and jellies and pies were still waiting for them. Hooray! Miss Stint was the last to leave the party. Way past midnight. The events of the day had perked her up no end. There was karaoke, and she treated the whole school to a performance of her favourite hip-hop tracks. MC Stint on the mic, rile high. Let me hear you say, way-oh, way-oh. There we are, on the mic. As for Miss Seethe, no one knew where she landed. if indeed she ever did. So, if you found an angry old lady lying in a ditch, waggling a walking stick above her head and barking "Detention!" at your approach her with extreme caution. Whatever you do, don't stick a stamp on Miss Seethe's forehead and post her to Ryle High. They do not want their deputy head back, ever. There you go. That's the end of the stories I'm going to read from the World's Worst Teachers. There are lots of other stories in that book about the World's Worst Teachers, but I think we'll start a new book after half term. Have a nice week off school, Year 2 children, and we'll see you on Tuesday the 23rd of February. Be safe, and remember, if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. Bye now.